All right, getting excited here. We're going to go live, see if everything's cool. We got a few minutes here, so as you guys pop on, let's see some people jump on here. Getting excited here. We're going to go live. Yes, that's me. Okay, that seems to be working. My microphone issues, I'm solving them one at a time. It's crazy, but I think I got it today. I'm super excited. Oh boy. Okay. We've got some people. Okay, we need people on Zoom. And then we got Facebook Live. Let's give it a couple more minutes here. We got about 3 minutes before drop time here. Hope you guys having a good time with this and did your homework. I'm super excited to see. I've talked to a lot of you guys personally, one-on-one, and just some of the things that you're implementing. I mean, that's phenomenal. So I really believe that if you do some of this, right, some's better than none, that you'll get a lot out of this, and you'll grow your business pretty dramatically. I did have a good conversation. And last night I went out to dinner with a friend of mine, but we had a good conversation about even some businesses that are struggling compared, through COVID because of all the things going on. So like my award shop, we were struggling. I mean, I'll be brutally honest, we were hurting pretty bad, and we had to, stop, drop back 10 and punt. But we eventually got the ball back, and now we're running with it. And I think, we're back to where we were and growing more. We need to hire employees, which, as you know, is hard right now. So I just hired somebody a couple of weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. We probably need another one. But so that's a different issue we'll talk about a little bit today. But anyway, so I think this WNet bottom line, yeah, that sounds esoteric and crazy, but when you're losing money on your bottom line, which my workshop was, we were losing money every month. Our rent was $6,300 a month, plus electric is $1,000 a month, and all you got some in my payroll, $20,000 a month or whatever. I mean, it's easy to lose money. But so we had to kind of do some of the things we're going to talk about today. But so anyway, this challenge is actually good. It's not I wouldn't call it a turnaround challenge, a business turnaround challenge. But some of them people I was talking with, and talking about even, these things that you can implement to turn their business around and get it back on track. So the other good thing, hey, Julie's in the house. All right, good to see you. The other good thing that I was talking about was people who are trying to sell their business. Some of this is going to take some time, but if you're trying to sell it in the next year or 2 or 5 years, there's no better way to get more for your business than increasing your bottom line. Right? Cash flow is how most businesses, I'm not going to say all, but it's how most businesses are sold. Sometimes they're asset sales, but I mean, cash flow is critical to the value of your business. And so I think about that all the time, even whether you're not going to sell it or not. You want to, increase the value of your business, and you do that by your net bottom line or your cash flow. So I think this is good for that too. So hopefully you're thinking in terms of that as well, and seeing kind of what's going on. All right, we got another minute here. I got some of you guys on Zoom. And then hopefully some people jump on Facebook. They'll see that we're on. Maybe they'll jump on, and we'll get started. I got maximum amount of learning and minimum amount of time today. So Julie, you've been working on this week. So cool. Hopefully you can get caught up, watch some of the replays, and do the homework. I think it'll help you, Julie. I know you're doing great. I know you personally, and I think you're an absolute sweetheart. And so this stuff will be really good for you in your business. There's a lot that you can implement. Some of it's not applicable, but almost all of it is. So a big part of today, what we're going to talk about today, is going to be right up your alley. So hopefully you'll get a lot out of today. Oh, Julie's asking to print the paper that keeps track of your progress and get that. So it's a great question. I'm glad you said that. So in the private Facebook group, up at the top, there's tabs at the top of the page, right? Towards the header, and it says guides. And under guides, I've been putting the trainings and the homework, and one of the downloads is the business wheel, and then also the download for the income statement. And it's just the income statement is just an Excel spreadsheet, which we'll talk about quite a bit today. But I'm mostly the spreadsheet's just kind of a starting point for you. I think I really want you to fill it out with your numbers. I have in the spreadsheet, I have, you know, I think I'm funny, but I have poop emoji plumbing, and then I have smiley emoji photography, and then I have doggy emoji veterinarian. So 3 different types of businesses. You got to pick which one's closer to yours, and then you can, you know, use that one. So hopefully that helps you. I tried, she said. Huh. I'll have to maybe figure it out after this. I can help you download it. It's it should be just an Excel spreadsheet. Maybe you don't have Excel hooked to it or something. I don't know. All right, looks like all right. We're about a couple minutes past now, so I get busy talking. I want to get going here, so let me go ahead and hit record. Blah, that's important. We want to record this, baby. Yes, it is. You guys will get a thing on your end on the Zoom. They'll say this is being recorded. They're really adamant about that now. You need to know it's being recorded, which I get that. So, okay, so you're being recorded. You're being recorded. Okay, cool. So let me we'll get started. I'm gonna share my screen, and then we'll jump right into it today. So thank you guys for joining me. I know it's been a long week. It's hard to do all this and get involved every single day. And I you know, as business owners, I totally understand. So let me let's do this and then change that around. Okay, cool. So I guess if you are maybe one of you guys in the Facebook, and when somebody in the Zoom, tell me if you can see my screen that I'm sharing. Just give me a 1. That's simple enough. 1 that you can see my screen and you can hear my voice. Everything's fine. We're good to rock and roll. Let's see. Facebook, yeah. Let's see. On Zoom. Yeah. Oh, favor. Thanks. I got 1 there too. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna hit it. So day 4. What we're day 4? We're you know what, 3/4 way through this. Well, actually, halfway through. Today will be 3/4 way through, and we got some good stuff for you today. And not that we didn't any other day, but hopefully you went back. If you missed a day, you got a chance to at least watch the replays or a good majority of the replays. I think you get a lot out of it. There's a lot of, you know, I do talk, you know, 30,000 foot view, which you guys know, and I'll give you the mindset stuff. But of course, we always get into the trenches, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3, here's how to do this. And, you know, give you a chance to actually implement this into your business. So hopefully you're doing that exact thing. So, all right. So 4 circles of success, mindset, skill set, tool set, get off your asset. That's where success meets right there in the middle. I hopefully you have that memorized by now, and it's something you think about when you're doing things. For me, I think about it when I'm successful. I give credit to these 4 things, and when I'm not successful, I figure out what's missing. And there's always one of those missing, right? And sometimes it's my mindset. Sometimes I'm just not believing right, and then sometimes it's my get off your asset. I'm just not taking the action I need to do. I'm sitting in the lotus position and hoping it's going to happen, which doesn't get me very far. But anyway, yeah, so hopefully you can do the same thing. All right, there's our double helix. So day 2, we were prospecting and closing ratio. Day 3, we did order average and sales frequency. Those 4 alone could and should double your net bottom line. That's how powerful. That's the exponential little bit, right? ELB. The exponential part is where it multiplies on top of each other. 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2. It equals 3 or more. And then you do another one and another one. So if you do just those 4 things, you could possibly double your net bottom line. However, we got more. We got 3 more things to do. Today, we're going to talk about productivity and expenses. And of course, we want to increase productivity, but we want to decrease expenses. So we're going to do a minus. There's a 1 minus. Everything else is a plus. But how much are we going to do that? How much are we going to increase those? Yeah, 5%. 5%. You guys know that. So let me go over back to my things. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So exponential little bits. Let's explain that one while we're there, right? Exponential little bits from Roy Williams. He's the wizard of ads. He says exponential little bits are tiny but relentless changes that compound to make a miracle. The power in an elb lies not in its size, but in its daily occurrence. For an elb to work its exponential magic, the little bit must happen every day, every day, every day. So compounding is the key of this. We're going to do one of these things. We're going to do 5%. We're going to do another one, 5%, another one, 5%, another one, 5%. And that should only be 20, 25%, right, of increase, but it's not. It's actually 100% increase on your bottom line. That's the exponential part of it. And it's exciting because we care as business owners. What we care about the most is net bottom line. That's what we get to take home, or that's what we get to reinvest, or that's what we get to give away. And basically that's our freedom. That's our freedom to choose and do what we want to do, is that net bottom line. Okay. Today is productivity. So this is the first one of the second two we're going to do today. Productivity simply is the efficiency in which tasks and goals are completed for the company. This word means a lot to me. This word is in this office, in my agency where I'm sitting now, comes up daily. I am not exaggerating. In fact, it's part of our core values, one of our 7 core values. I'll show you in a second. Okay. So to do productivity, to get productivity or be more productive, we have to think about this. Step 1, in the context of a compass, right, which is direction. The compass is where we're going. And then part 2, is the clock. Or I have a stopwatch there, but it's a clock. So the clock equals daily things, right? It's what we're doing. The compass equals destiny things, where we're going. And every goal, actually every purpose, every direction, or every thing that you do should have these 2 things in mind. Where am I heading? And how fast am I going to get there? Okay. So the clock deals with appointments and activities. The compass towards visions, values, and missions, which we'll talk about. And then together, the compass and the clock both provide us motivation and direction. This is a Dr. Stephen Covey thing as well, the clock and the compass. I probably learned this, I don't know, maybe 30 years ago. I was pretty young, and when I met this, and it totally made sense to me. He was talking about having goals, and sometimes we work so hard, and we're like, bam, 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 hitting the clock. We're working so hard to climb this ladder of success, and we get to the top to find out the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. And so that's a great analogy. You're like, holy crap, I just been working so hard, and this isn't where I want to go at all, right? And so, he talks about making sure our ladder is first lined up in the direction we want to go, or against the wall where we want to go, and then climb that ladder as quick as possible. So, their time is involved, right? But we also need direction. And sometimes we can get off course. All of us, I believe all of us have had moments where we are persuaded to get off course. And, a new shiny thing comes along. Somebody talks about a great opportunity we should take a look at. I had a phone call yesterday, and I love her to death. I consider one of my consultants, one of my coaches, somebody I definitely look up to. She wanted me to talk. She wanted to talk to me about a opportunity, and I said, just like a lot of the famous people, but Darren Hardy says you have to say no to the good things so you can say yes to the great things and the things should be done. So I'm like, there's no way I can take on any opportunity, and I mean, she understood, but for me, I have my direction, I have my compass right now. Now it may change, right? Circles of life. This is the circle I'm choosing right now. That's the Lion King. So this is my circle I'm in right now, but I'm going to stay focused on the circle, and either until I'm successful or I actually cognitively choose to move on to another circle. But of course, the clock is ticking, so I know that too. I got to take steps towards that direction every single day. That's an exponential little bit too. That's part of the rabbit and the hare, right? So you want to move forward every single day when you can. So let me talk about our 7 core values here. This is my internet marketing, one of my 3 companies. I like acronyms, as you probably have guessed. The Prosper formula. This is the Prosper 7 core values. So number 1 is P, stands for pursue excellence continually, which is Kaizen. And I'll explain Kaizen later, but it's It's a continuous improvement, basically pursuing it. So in our staff meetings, we talk about this, all 7 of these every month in our staff meetings. We have a staff, all staff meeting once a month. We cater in food, and we have a pretty good meeting. And then we do a strategy session at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, where we get into like a half-day training and strategy meetings. But so part of that meeting, we talk about pursuing excellence. Why those words? Like, those words aren't haphazard to me. Those words mean something. So we're not pursuing perfection. Oh no. And all my employees would be readily to tell you, I am not perfect and I screw things up a lot. But we are pursuing excellence, right? Not mediocrity, not even good. We're pursuing excellence. And that's one of our core values. And so what happens when we fall short? So for instance, it's been a while. I can't even think of a recent example, but one time we wrote a press release. We write a lot of press releases, 100, maybe 150 a month sometimes. And we have a lot of similar clients that are in a same franchise. Well, one time we wrote a press release for a client and we had the wrong address on there. This was years ago. And so we had a meeting. We had an all staff meeting. What happened here? And then what was cool is I was like, hey, are we pursuing excellence? Is this pursuing excellence? And somebody raised their hand. No, that's not even pursuing mediocrity. That's worse. Right. And so this part of our core values is who we see ourselves as a group, as a business. It's how we kind of keep ourselves on track. We don't want to put out mediocre stuff. And so when we design things and do, videos and all these things, we want them to be excellent, not perfect, right? We don't want it to hold back to be perfect. We need them to be excellent. So it's part of our core value to pursue excellence continually. And the word continually means we're always improving, right? We take a look at it and we're always improving. We're going to get into that later. R is responsible. So I talked a little bit about this by my definition with the able at the end, response able. We're able to respond in any given situation. It's part of our unique human endowments. I think we talked about that on Tuesday. However, we take responsibility. So it's not about pointing fingers. It's about owning it. We just own it, right? Oh, my bad. I own it. I messed it up. I learned from it. I have a new standard operating procedure, which we'll talk about. And now we have a new system in place that should not happen again. So we want to learn from the mistakes and move forward. And it's pretty cool because, my staff's not perfect either, but man, are they fantastic about owning it. They're good and bad. They own it. You know what? Wait, we rocked it today. You own it. That's cool. We messed up a little bit today, and they own that too. And same thing with me. I try to, we just own it. And we don't beat them up for it. We try not to beat ourselves up for it, but we're just responsible. We're responsible. So, opportunity minded. So this is important when we're in the industry that we're in, right? We are in a technology industry. We have to look for new opportunities to capitalize on each new idea. Things come up all the time. And my staff, they actually are on the cutting edge on some of the stuff. I'm not anymore. I'm old fogey. I'm out of date, I guess is what they say. But there's some things I have some really good knowledge on, but they're on the cutting edge of this stuff because they're doing it every single day. So I always, I want to hear about the new opportunities. I want to see them, and then we'll evaluate them together as a group and see if it's something we should implement or change. I'll come back to that later too. And then S is service-minded, which when we're in a service business, right? So we sell ones and zeros. Basically, it's hard to grab a hold of what we're selling. It's not intangible. Well, I guess it is intangible. It's not like we're selling widgets or phones or shoes. But we are selling results. And so we want to be service-minded for sure. And we think about it all the time. Are we getting results for our clients? And talk about, are we servicing them, making sure that they understand that they're getting results? So that leads us to P. And this is the one I brought up earlier, is the word productivity. That's the teaching, right? Productivity is one of the 7 Prosper formula, part of the Prosper formula. It's the P in the Prosper formula, PORSP. And it's also in the P in here, productivity, not activity. So what's the difference? And this is critical to understand and to evaluate all the time. For me, activity, it's easy to be busy, right? Busy work, be busy. But productivity, by definition, produces a result. See the difference? Activity could produce a result or it could not. And productivity is definitely something that produces a result. Productivity, you're productive. Productivity. So it's one of our core values to be productive. And guess what? because things change, as we talked about earlier, we need to reevaluate everything we do. Does this produce a result still? It did a year ago, but does it still? This activity, does this produce a result to make it productivity? Yes or no? And we evaluate that all the time, and it's a continuous improvement. That's a Kaizen too. So, and then efficiency is certainly something we're going to talk about today, how to be more efficient. Part of productivity, being productive, is to be efficient. And in our case, it's just who I am. It's inert. And I was telling my wife yesterday, she called me on it because everything I do since I was a child, playing video, Super Mario Brothers stuff, I would find the most efficient way to do everything I needed to do to get to the end. Always, like I would do it over and over and over again to figure out. And I'm like, this is the best way to do it. And then, when I was like a teenager, I used to have to split wood all the time, and I got super efficient where I could split it in 1 or 2 hits because of the way I was hitting it. And I learned, okay, this is the most efficient way to do it. This is the most efficient way to angle it. This is the most efficient way to set it. And I learned. And so everything I do, it's just in my head immediately to make it more efficient. So when I'm producing something, and we make standard operating procedures for it, we have to be efficient and proficient. We are going to talk about that for a little while here today. And then, remember to have fun. So and this is hard for me because I can get so caught up into, the day inertia, and we forget to have fun. I want to have a fun work environment. I do. we try it. So I actually task different people at different times to say, hey, make sure we're having fun. Stop. So sometimes it could be dumb things like, playing cornhole in the middle of the day. We used to have ping pong table in here too. We're not trying to be Google or anything. We just, sometimes it gets tense and we want to, hey, let's relax a little. Let's have a little cornhole tournament here. Or we do like a crock pot Monday. We bring in, somebody bring in a crock pot on Monday. We'll have, and we enjoy our time together over, breaking bread for lunch. So, and that's fun in my mind. It's fun. We try to go and get out and do things outside of work. We don't do as much as I want. So especially since COVID, but we're starting to schedule that again to get out and just remember to have fun with us and have fun with our clients. Anyway, I went over those just so you can kind of see our philosophy and our core values, because everything is registered to these things. And we can actually, it's not like, it's called reproof, right? When somebody does something wrong, you want to reprove them. Well, it's not out of the blue. We can actually hold this up and say, ooh, are you pursuing excellence? Are you taking responsibility here? Like when, who did this and nobody fesses up, like somebody needs to take responsibility. And so we can fix it, not to be mean or yell at them or anything, not even to punish them, just, so we can figure out what went wrong and how we fix it. And that's the atmosphere we're in. It's really cool because we don't have any issues with any of that right now. So we have a great staff right now. All right, I got to go to more. This is leading up to something. We're going to talk about productivity here in a minute. So in the book, First Things First, I strongly recommend this. I don't know, it's probably 25 years old now, but strongly recommend you read it. But I'll give you the cliff notes right here. So he draws a box, a square, and then he does divides it up in 4 squares. And he says, okay, quadrant 1 is important and urgent. Quadrant 2 is important but not urgent. Quadrant 3 is not important but urgent. And then quadrant 4 is not important and not urgent. So you probably heard this before. I'll tell you the quick story of it, and because it hits so much home. So the professor, and it could be Dr. Covey because he told the story. So it could have been him in his class because he used to be a professor at BYU, I believe. And so he had a big old glass jar. We used to make iced tea in those big glass jars. So he had a big glass jar, and he said, okay, I'm going to fill up this jar. And so he grabs some rocks about this big, about 2-3 inches, and he puts them in there and he fills it up to the top. And he goes, is it full? And they're like, no, yeah, it's full. And they didn't realize where he's going with this. So then he pulls out some pebbles, and they're like, oh. And so then he starts pouring pebbles, and it goes in between all the little cracks of the bigger rocks. And he goes, is it full? And they're like, now they're starting to be like, no. So then he pulls out some sand. He pours it in there and he shakes it down, pours it in there. Sand goes all the crevices. And then he goes, is it full? And then everybody's like, yeah, it looks pretty full. I don't think we can get any more. And then he pulls out some water. There's another story that says you pull out a beer, but I'll do the water version. So you pull out some water and you pour it on top of it, and the water will actually go in between all the little crevices of the sand even. So it fills up. And then it's always bubbling. The water's bubbling at the top of this big glass jar. And he asked the class again, he goes, is it full? And they're like, yes. And, 100 people in the class. And he says, all right, what's the lesson? And then one of the boys in the front row, he raises his hand. He goes, the lesson is this. You can always put more in to your day. You can always put more in. And he goes, you would think that's the lesson, but that is not the lesson at all. Actually, that's the opposite of what we're trying to do here. He said, the lesson is this. The lesson is if you don't put the big rocks in first, you'll never get them in if you put them in last. They'll never get in. If you put the sand in first in the water and the pebbles, you'll never get all the big rocks in there. So he said, schedule your big rocks first. And that hit 30 years ago, I'm like, wow, it's my time. I have 24 hours a day. You get hit with the thick of thin things. Remember, I said that before. We got these thin things hitting us that are not that important to us, but they're taking our time. If we don't schedule these big rocks first, they're never going to go in. What are big rocks? So, well, I'll just describe them right here. So it's big rocks are actually in this quadrant, is quadrant 2, the second one over. Big rocks are important things, but not urgent. So give me an example. Well, reading a book. I think it's important that you should read this book or a book, motivational books, not necessarily, fiction books, but nonfiction books that you can learn something from. I think that is important. Is it urgent? Nope. Urgent means it's pressing on you, that you have to do. It's pressing. No, not at all. You don't have to do it at all. What about going to church or reading your Bible? What about spending time with your family? Dinner time, having dinner with your family. What about working out, exercising? What about like planning your future, like setting goals? What about, preparing for, a speech or something you're going to do? That might be urgent and important, but for the most part, everything I just named is not urgent, but they're very important. Working out, eating right, eating healthy, right? That's super important, not urgent, though. Unless you're on your deathbed, or unless your doctor says, hey, if you don't clean this up, you're going to die. Then it's urgent, right? At that point, it's too. It might be too late. It won't be too late. It's that point. It's important and urgent, right? It's quadrant 1. But so what do we do if remember the big rocks have to go in first? So the whole point of this, and I'll explain this. This is a simple way to explain the whole book. You need to put more things in quadrant 2. You'll never get rid of all quadrant 1. But if you put more things in quadrant 2, quadrant 1 will go way down. Quadrant 1 is crises. The way you have a crisis is not plan, not prepare, not prevent. The way you have a crisis is you don't build relationships or personal development. Crisis happens because you were not prepared and you didn't do anything about all that. You have marriage problems, kid problems, because you haven't been putting time into that emotional bank account. You have work problems because you haven't been managing your employees or encouraging, inspiring them and getting them to engage. And all of a sudden they want to leave and quit. Your best employee quits because you've basically ignored them for 6 months. I've been there, trust me. And so you need to make it urgent and important, but you can get out of the urgent and important by making it in this quadrant 2 by doing these preparation things, these planning, prevention things. Okay, so where do we get more time from? Well, I know you know the answer. It's quadrant 4. We can take from quadrant 4. Now, so is watching TV quadrant 4? I can argue it may be quadrant 2, and here's why. Sometimes you gotta, and so for me, I watch history stuff. I watched there's a thing called The Men Who Built America, which was very interesting to me. I didn't know some of that stuff about Carnegie and all that. I think I learned something. Who knows if it's truly accurate, but it was, for me, that was a quadrant 2 activity. I needed to clear my mind the other day. I had a little bit of free time, and I don't watch much TV at all, but when I do, it's probably something like that. Now I can sit down and watch a dumb sitcom with the best of them sometimes, but I really take from the dumb TV watching. What about screen time, right? What about spending inordinate amount on Facebook, inordinate amount of time on Facebook or games or 99% of that stuff is going to be quadrant 4 stuff. It's worthless. So if you need more time, you got to take it from quadrant 4 or quadrant 3. So, what's quadrant 3? Quadrant 3 is not important, but it's urgent. What is that? Not important, but urgent is somebody else's crisis. Think about that, right? Not important, but urgent. Is this phone ringing right now? If it say it's ringing, boy, it's not important to me, but it's urgent. It's banging on my, it's ringing. I should answer it. Nope. It's not important to me, right? So I can judge that at that moment and I can hit no, go away. Even no matter who it is, because this is more important for me to be here with you guys. So quadrant 3, you can take from that too. And so ultimately you got to shift your time. You only have 24 hours a day. Same thing as Sir Richard Branson has and Jeff Bezos, these guys that just went to space, billionaires. I think Branson has 200 businesses. Now, of course, he didn't, I mean, he owns them. I don't think he runs any of them, but he's definitely involved on the board. But same thing. I mean, you got to figure out what you want to do with your time. So productivity is part of this. So don't miss the big headline up here, 30,000 for you. We're talking about productivity. The way to get more productive is to have your compass. Where am I heading? And does this allow me to get there faster, better, stronger, easier, more effective? Or is this taking me off track? Right? So we have our compass and our stopwatch. And we put first things first. And we want to put things in quadrant 2 as much as possible. So you can't change the past, but you can ruin the present by worrying about the future. I like that quote a lot. All right, so let's get into, that was 30,000 foot view. Let's bring it down to more in the, hard hitting in the trenches. How do you specifically become more productive in your life? I'm talking like right now, I'm basically talking personal, but I'm also talking, of course, business wise. So I think it's both, because you're a personal individual human being. You need to be more productive yourself. But I'm also going to show you quite a few things how to make your business more productive. Okay, is that fair? Let me go back to all of our, yeah. Alan says, I like your acronyms. Yeah, I love acronyms. So it helps me. I'm a simple guy, I tell you. So it helps me to keep things simple and I can remember acronyms. So actually, I don't remember them very well, but I'm trying. Okay, productivity. Productivity is, remember, how to become more productive. Has anybody heard of Six Sigma? I guess raise your hand, put one in the box or on Zoom. You can talk about it. Six Sigma is, I know it came around in, here, I'll read this to you. 1986 by Motorola. They invented this thing called Six Sigma. It emphasizes cycle time improvement while at the same time reducing manufacturing defects. So getting more efficient. So we're going to talk about this, getting more efficient while making less mistakes or less mistakes. They got their defects down to no more than 3.4 occurrences per million units. That's unbelievable. So that's where it started, Six Sigma, and it was definitely a great way. So and then lean manufacturing came in behind that, which took it to another level. And then let's talk about Kaizen. So Kaizen, remember I mentioned it earlier, I'm maybe saying it wrong, but that's how I heard it. Somebody say it that way. So I'm saying it may be Kaizen or Kaizen or something, but it's Japanese. It requires identifying areas for improvement, creating solutions and plans for the rollout, then cycling through the process again for other issues or issues that were inadequately addressed the first time. Kaizen, remember, it means continuous improvement. So we fix this stuff, we use it for a while, but we're still monitoring it and say, hey, we can make it better. Yeah, we fix it again, we fix it a little bit better, we tweak, and it never ends. That's why continuous improvement means continuous improvement. It never ends. And I feel like that's how my business runs, because one, we're in an industry that will continually change. We have ways of doing things now that we didn't do 2 years ago. We've been in business for 10 years. I'm proud to say that. We wrote a press release. We've been in business for 10 years. We started 2011. Now, I was actually doing online marketing way before then, probably 5 years. I built my first website in 99, but I mean, I was doing online marketing through the radio station as well when I was working at the radio stations. But I actually sold online marketing in like 2006, 2007. And of course, when I bought my own company in 2006, I started doing my own website. And that's when I Googled, how do I get to the top of Google? That was a thing to Google. So then that's how I got good at that. I met some of the biggest guys in the industry. Anyway, nothing is the same since 2006. Nothing for online marketing anyway. I mean, it's completely changed. Now, I mean, the core algorithm of Google is still there and intact, but boy, has it changed. They took out the engine, put a whole new engine in, and then rebuilt the whole car. But in your case, you can do the same thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you need to be updating continuously. So Kaizen is a great way, to think about that. Continuous improvement, continuous improvement, continuous improvement. If you haven't changed something in your industry or in your business in a while, that's a good indication that you need to rethink some things, because I promise you there's better, more efficient, effective ways to be more productive than it was 2 years ago even. And this is the final thing I want to talk about on that is SOPs. Now, I have a business partner. His name's Jeff. He comes from a whole different world. We're pretty much, I mean, not complete opposites on the birds, but we're pretty close to being brutally opposite. He is big into SOPs. What are SOPs? Standing operating procedures. They're documents containing step-by-step instructions to guide employees how to perform technical repetitive processes within the organization. It's the playbook to get tasks done. 30,000-foot view, and then what are we doing daily? What's really cool is we've gotten really good at these SOPs, and they change all the time. I mean, our SOPs are not perfect by no means, but we're always updating them. And our employees are the ones that are updating them because they're doing the task every day. So this is my job. I sit in this chair. What do I do all day long? Bam, 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 bam. So here's step 1, step 2, step 3. So I don't care if you're a single person operation, or if you have 30 employees or 300 employees, you have to have SOPs of how you do things. Why? Well, if you have multiple employees, that way if somebody's out sick or somebody leaves, somebody else can step in that position, read the SOPs, and basically take over right away. You guys know, at my award shop, we actually had some turnover from COVID, and when we hired new people, our SOPs were not up to date, and it was my fault, because I kind of backed out of there a few years ago, and I haven't been over there really. And so I went back in and I started rewriting these SOPs and bringing in the new people. We were writing them together. This is the way we do this. This is the way we make a name tag. This is the way we make this award. And so, I'm going back to some of the original things that we did, but then we're also making it more effective, more productive with the new SOPs. Well, you can do the same thing. And like I said, if you're an individual person, you have an SOP simply for yourself, because what you want to do, the only way that you can actually judge your effectiveness and productiveness, how productive you are, is by charting it. You have to chart it, right? So if you're trying to do this to this, well, you chart it the first time and go, well, that went okay. I think I can make it better. I can make it more efficient, more effective, and less mistakes. So you go back and try it again in a different way, SOPs, remember? And then you want to write it down the new way of doing it, and then have that. It doesn't need to be up to date weekly or even monthly necessarily, but you should have SOPs in place all the time. So remember, productivity, not activity, right? So you want to make sure it produces a result. So I would definitely take a checkup from the neck up on every single thing that you are producing on a daily basis. I did this today, did that produce result? So in my case, I'll tell you a story. When I was in radio, when I was actually in sales, this is going to be relative to sales, but this is definitely relative to you. I would do what's called a batting average every day, BAT. So every day back then we had day planners. You probably don't remember those, but we had these day planners. Actually, I got like a thing here, right? So you write down your notes, so you know what you're doing. You had a calendar, what's your daily activities. Well, every day in my day planner for over 3 years, I think I still have them, but every day I would write down BAT, my batting average. So B was, how was my behaviors? Did I do my behaviors? And these are tasks that I had to do every day. I had to do 10 cold calls a day. And I was like, I was gonna say religious, but I was super, I held to that as much as I possibly could. And 10 cold calls were defined by, it could be a cold call, or it could just be dropping into a business and picking up a business card, because I was trying to sell them advertising on radio. So B, so if I only went to 7 businesses that day or cold call at 7, I get a 7 out of 10, right? And so I would score myself on a score of 0 to 10. I got a 7 today. So the A's were attitudes. Now attitudes, wow. And that's one of my favorite things to look back on, because my attitude sucked a lot of days because I got beat up or I just didn't get anywhere. I felt like I was spinning my wheels. Attitude today was a 3. Attitude tomorrow was a 7. Today was a great day. I made a sale. Attitude today is a 10. Okay, so then I would write down my attitude every single day. And then the T is the techniques. T. And techniques is the key to being productive, right? So you're doing the behavior, but it doesn't get you anywhere. You're not really doing the right behaviors, or you're not doing the behaviors in the right way because your techniques suck and you're not getting anywhere. So in my mind, I was charting my techniques, how I was getting better. I'm okay. I talked to somebody today. I didn't say something stupid today, too much. And so I'm getting better at my techniques. And that means my closing ratio should go up, all the things that we've already talked about. Well, so I charted this for years. And I remember looking back after I stopped it, years later when I was a manager, and I was telling somebody about this story. I was like, I used to do batting average. Well, I looked at the day and it was kind of neat. So I looked at my day planner. It says, I met with Carter Construction today. Carter Construction was, okay, I'll tell you about it. So I cold called this company called Carter Construction. And they were home builders. This is out in Salt Lake City. They built homes and they sell homes. So I went and cold called and said, hey, you need to be advertising on the radio. We had 7 radio stations. And so they're like, yeah, well, we do direct mail. We do billboards, and we don't want to do radio. But so I'm like, okay. But I remember on that day, it was a cold call, Carter Construction. I had an attitude of a 2. And I don't know exactly why. I mean, I don't think those guys were mean to me, but I mean, maybe somebody was, or I just had a bad day. So, but anyway, so I fast forward a couple of weeks, cold called Carter Construction again. I followed up and they said, yeah, let's meet. So a couple of weeks go by, I look at my day planner. I see the first appointment with this Carter Construction. My attitude that day was actually like a 4. I don't know why. I had a good meeting with them, and they say, yeah, put together a proposal. So put together a proposal. Anyway, spare you all the details. It took a couple months. It wasn't like it just happened. But like 2 months later, they signed a $10,000 a month radio agreement with me. And back then we made 25%. So I just made, $2,500 a month in my pocket. That's $30,000 order in net to me. The story of that though, my attitude sucked on the day I was just cold calling. So you ask yourself, and I asked myself later, it wasn't then, and I didn't realize it then, was I doing productivity? Did my activity produce a result? Well, it did, but it was months later. And so the lesson for you is sometimes you have to realize that you are just doing activity. Didn't give you any result at all. Like you fast forward 6 months, I've been doing this, it really got me nowhere. But sometimes it's planting seeds, then you're watering it, you're weeding it, and then you get a harvest way down the road. Okay. So that's part of productivity that we need to understand, but you need to know the difference and you need to chart it. And the only way to chart it is SOP, standing operating procedures. This is what we're doing right now. Bam, 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 step 1, step 2, step 3. And this is the result we're getting. You understand? So what I'm saying is if you're not tracking things, shame on you, because then you're just guessing. You're guessing that it's working or you're guessing it's not working. You're not so sure. And I'll be honest, every time I meet with a new business owner and we just have a strategy session, and not necessarily new, they're not new to business, but I meet with them. Maybe they've been in business for 10, 20, 40, 50 years. One company I talked with last Thursday, been in business for 87 years, generation after generation after generation. And guess what? They don't have hardly any SOPs in place. After 87 years, they're still winging it in a sense. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm like, I asked them, what, how much are you converting off of this? We don't know. How many phone calls does it take to get an appointment? What percentage are you closing a phone call? I don't know. What's your average order? I think somewhere between $500 and $600. You think, like, what? They're a $15 million company. They don't know. And so SOPs will give you that. Well, look at me on the rampage. I'm going to get on that. All right. So let's talk about this kind of specificity. I want to talk about day 4, productivity. So how do you produce more individually and as a business? I'm going to talk both of those. Okay. So now we're in the trenches. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. And then we'll talk about expenses here after this. Okay. We need to increase this by how much? 5%. That's it. 5%. I know that when I tell people that I've had, this is an elevator speech, by the way. I talk to people all the time. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I've been doing this formula, or version of this formula. Like I had 5 in the beginning, 5 elves, but I've been doing a version of this for over 10 years. And every time I say it's 5%, I used to say 3%, because if you do all 5 of them, 3% gets you 100% net bottom line, right? So I'm like, yeah, just increase your costs by 3%, increase your prospecting by 3%, increase your closing ratio by 3%, decrease your expenses by 3%, increase your frequency by 3%. And they're like, wow, you get 100% net bottom line. Well, believe it. I'll show you the stats here again. So, all right, now we're in the trenches. No more 30,000 foot view. I'm done telling my stories. Hopefully that gets you something. You don't need to write the batting average down. You might want to do that just to, make it see where you're at. But what I learned from that too is my attitude. Man. Why would I have a bad attitude on the day that I sold my biggest client and I ultimately made the day I made a cold call, I made $30,000 a year from, they were on with, for a couple of years. And so I just changed. At that point, I was like, yeah, I might as well have a good attitude every day because I'm planting seeds. As long as I'm planting seeds. And then, when I lay my head on the pillow, and you should do this too. And so your question to you isn't, did I work hard today? Like that is the wrong question. And maybe you did. And I get that. Sometimes we just want to feel good about ourselves. Oh, I worked hard today. That is not the question you should be asking. Not at all. The question you should ask when you lay your head on the pillow is, did I take ground today? Moving towards my compass. Was I productive? In other words, did I produce some sort of result today? Plant, water, weed, grow, and then harvest. Did I do that today? That's a more honest question. Just because you worked hard doesn't mean you got anywhere. You might have went backwards. Heck, you might have worked on something that's irrelevant to your compass, which happens to all of us. Oh, I worked so hard today, but it has nothing to do with your goals at hand, right? So, number one, payroll. Ways to cut expenses. I put this up there. This is actually number 3 on my chart, but I wanted to start with this today because it's my least favorite thing to cut. However, let me tell you ways I believe in human assets like you wouldn't believe. In fact, I believe in it so much. That's why we have a building. We could be an all virtual agency. We have 16 people in this building. But I want them to come here so I can, put them in a nuggie. No, because it's human element. I work better around. I mean, trust me, it's a big part for me because I work better when there's other people and we brainstorm, we get together. The energy in this building is amazing. Some days it's less, but you can do the same thing. So anyway, payroll by far for any business that has more than one employee is your biggest expense. I mean, if you're the only employee, then that's not a bad expense because it's yours. That's right. But if you have multiple employees, your number one biggest thing on your chart of expenses is going to be payroll. So how do you cut payroll? And I'm going to tell you a couple ways that's not going to hurt the human element of it. One, overtime. So, my awards shop, it is in our policy book, in our employee handbook, there's no approved overtime unless it's pre-approved through the management. In other words, they can't just start doing overtime and then expect to get time and a half. Now, I don't mind giving time and a half when they come. We're busy. Yep, you got to stay. No problem. But I have to approve it. So when I first bought the company, every week there was 20 to 40 hours of overtime, which is time and a half. I mean, that's crazy amount of extra expenses. It's one thing to be at time. It's another thing to be time and a half for the employer. Again, I don't mind paying it when we need it, but at the time, none of that was needed. None of it. All those people that were going over, there was other people that were way under. They could, we didn't need to do it. Anyway, so one way to cut a payroll is overtime. Another way is, this is the part I don't want to, again, I love human assets. I have 5 employees in the Philippines. And yes, I mean, I know, I don't want you to think less of me. They're phenomenal. Like all of them, I have to be careful. I'm almost positive. I know 4 of them, maybe 5, have a degree in marketing or, they have business degrees. These people, I mean, they're fantastic, but they're 1/10 the cost over here. And so and again, I prefer that if the customer facing, anybody that touches the customer is be here in the United States with me. It's just the way the world is now. It just is. So even in my award shop, I could have somebody do design over in the Philippines or India or whatever, and they design. They're amazing designers, and then send it to us, and we'll have it in our inbox in the morning. It's just the way the world is growing. We are a global village now. There's no reason why you can't have employees at least out of town, or out of state or out of country, right? So our payroll, we do things that just, I mean, it isn't worth $12 an hour. So to do some of the things, some of it's just mind numbing, it needs to be done, but I don't want to pay $12 an hour for it. So we can outsource that. And they, by the way, those employees are true. They've been, like, some of them have been with me 6-7 years. They're my employees. They're on payroll. It's not like they're part-time or one-offs. They're actually true employees in the Philippines. Okay, so payroll. Go back up. What am I doing? Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's. Why is it that part 2? Come on. Oh, I only have the one. We'll animate this real quick. Sorry, guys. Transparency. There we go. I'm changing my PowerPoint right in front of you. I must have not did that. There we go. Software. Well, we'll get into all of these. Cool. All right. Number 2. Hello. I'm going to go faster now. Trust me. So payroll, monthly recurring memberships. Wow. There's so many things. The world wants you to go to, just like cell phones, and they want to just add monthly payment. And we swallow that because it's easy to swallow monthly payments. I love monthly payments for my company. I love monthly recurring revenue, RMR, MRR, MRM, whatever the acronym is nowadays. But you should too, but you should not want to pay it. And I'm going to talk about it later. There's going to be other things. But I would take a check on everything you're paying monthly. Here's how you do that. So my business partner, Jeffrey, this is his deal. We have what's called vendor audits. And a vendor audit is simply, you literally, you print off, or you bring up a screen. We go in the conference room, we bring it up on the screen, our expenses for the entire quarter or entire month that we're looking at. So we do it once a quarter. We do major vendor audits once a year, where we literally get new bids on everything. So we'll talk about that too. But so if you need to look at stuff that hits your card every single month, what is that? And it could be just like, recurring, software occurrence or other stuff, but monthly recurring memberships. I'm gonna bring this up. Some friends, let's, like a gym membership. If you're not using it, like, you need to cancel it. Anybody ever watch that Friends episode where he couldn't cancel his membership? It's just, $40 going out the window every single month. Anyway, monthly recurring memberships is easy to find because every month you're going to look at your expenses. It's going to show up there and you go, what is that? And then you need to get rid of it. So, yes. Okay. Software. Same thing. Some software is recurring. Some is not. So you need to be careful. I am a software glut, and I fully remember. I admit that. That's why I have good managers and good partners, because I love buying new software. I'm like I said, if there's a more efficient, effective way that I can do something, or that does something that I can't currently do, I love software. So I sign up to a ton of free trials on software, and maybe some of you guys do too. Probably not as much as me. But what happens is, after the free trial for 14 days, they start charging us, right? So and then when the bigger your company are, you got these all these expenses. You don't realize it unless you audit it. You got to do a vendor audit. So about once a quarter, my business partner will cancel 3 or 4 pieces of software. He always asks me, he's like, hey, we're using this? Nope. It was a good idea, but it didn't work. Or using this? No. Yeah, this other software does, it takes the place. So anyway, take a check at the software you have. You would be amazed. And I'll talk later about combining software. So sometimes now the new software comes out, it takes the place of 3, 4, 5 pieces of software that used to have individuals in the olden days. So, and that's what, we're cutting expenses huge amounts. We've cut over $700 a month in expenses just by combining our software. So you may want to look at that. Cost of goods. Cost of goods is going to be somebody who has cost of goods. So if you're selling information, you probably don't have much cost of goods. But if you're selling, like, let's say I'm selling books, or at my award shops, we sell awards, our cost of goods is an extremely big part of my expenses. So remember, we're only trying to cut 5% out of this. So any of these things I say you don't like, then don't do that one, right? Say like, no, I'm not cutting my payroll. I love my employees, or I'm not cutting software. I love all my software. Okay, good. Don't cut that. I'm going to give you 35 different things you can cut, right? I'm going to talk, I have 35. I'm going to talk about 20 of them or something like that. But cost of goods is one of the bigger ones. And so for me, we belong to a buyer's group over in my award shop. So we actually buy together as a group. There's 65 of us, and we bring in from, Belgium and China and all these different places. We bring in some of the crystal, some of the higher end stuff, plaques, crystal, acrylic, and it brings our costs way down. And then I can still sell it for the same retail, but my margins are much better, right? So if you can find a better way to get your cost of goods, buy in bulk, which actually I think I have on here later. You can buy, different, buy in a buyer's group, those kind of things. Then that's going to save you quite a bit of money. It will cut your expenses by 5%, just like that. Shipping, oh golly, shipping is insane lately and going up. So if you ship anything, you need to be taking a hard look. You need to get on the phone with FedEx and UPS, and for sure, and see if you can get discounts based off of volume. Now, remember, back to those memberships. If you belong to certain memberships in most industries, and I know this because I help out. I belong to we have we're part of an association that's it's called Retail Shippers Association. They do shipping. So I teach at their association. In fact, I'm teaching in a couple months at their association meeting. So I know a lot about shipping because I belong to the association. I'm not a shipper, but I belong there because we sell a bunch of package ships. We have a bunch of clients that do package ship. Well, so I'm asking, and there's huge discounts, like 30-40% discounts off of UPS prices. Where if you're paying retail, UPS and FedEx, it's crazy that you're doing that. You could cut that dramatically down, especially if you're doing it over and over again. And then also sometimes you just don't measure right. The box is, you don't weigh it right, measure right, and you're overpaying anyway. So the shipping is a great way to save expenses. If you ship at all, I would definitely do a vendor audit and take a look around how to save on expenses. Taxes. I would rather headbutt a porcupine than talk about taxes. But I'm telling you right now, we have saved, I'm going to say tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. I mean, maybe in the hundreds, but over the years from my accountant. She's so aggressive. She was a big city. She was a DC accountant. She retired here in Pensacola area. We live by the beach. So she didn't want to she was trying to she retired from a big firm, and she just wanted to have a few clients. Well, just so I met her. She's one of my clients. We have several accountants as clients for us, and I love them because they're very, very smart business advisors. If you don't have an accountant on speed dial, I have, on my phone, you can call them. You should. But they can save you tens of thousands of dollars in taxes, especially when it's all weird right now, right? When different administrations come in, they cut this, add this. Holy cow, it's crazy what's going on. So you need to have a professional help you with taxes. But you could save $10,000 a year in taxes easily just by the way they set it up, or by the way, they're the way they're reporting it. So now I 100,000% do not ever cheat Uncle Sam, but don't ever give them one more penny than what's owed. Does that make sense? I think you should toe that line as close as possible. So don't break the law, but you don't give them one extra penny, not one. All right, website hosting. I put this on here because this is one of my biggest pet peeves. So speaking of accountants and lawyers, so a lot of industries, and retail shippers is one of them, but a lot of industries have these national companies that sell websites, like a templated website for that industry. For instance, if you're an accounting firm, hey, we have all the accounting stats and all the widgets and calculators in a templated website. We'll build this website. You pay us $349 a month. And that doesn't sound like a lot, especially if you're a pretty medium-sized firm. $349 a month, okay. But to me, that goes back to the recurring monthly revenue. That website's calculator. So $349 times 12. That's $4,180 a year. And then they never update it, and they probably stick with it for years. So let's say times 3 years. That's a $12,000 website. Do you know what you can get for $12,000? Or $4,000. I mean, so website hosting, they get you by saying, hey, you can have up to an hour or 2 hours of updates a month. And then I'm like, well, how often have you updated it? Never. So we take over a lot of lawyers' accounts. Lawyers, same thing. They're paying $2,000 a month. I am not exaggerating. And sometimes it's more. It doesn't show as a line item. It doesn't say website hosting $2,000 a month. It says web package or whatever. It has some weird words, but basically it is their web hosting. It's $2,000 a month for lawyers. And I'm like, you're paying $24,000 a year for a website? And they're like, no, I'm not. That's my marketing. I'm like, Well, what marketing do they do for you? Well, they do the website. Okay. And they write a blog once a month. One blog once a month. Okay. What else for $24,000 a year? What else they do? And so I'm basically saying, all right, well, blogs, you can get a nice, well-written blog for $100. So there's $1,200 a year. And then what else? And they like look at me with a blank stare. I'm like, you're paying 2,000. Basically, let's say you're paying, 1,800 a month for hosting a website, because they have you under control. They own it and they're controlling it. It's sad. It's super sad. So anyway, I'm probably preaching to the wrong people, but be careful when you're doing these package websites and they're just monthly, only $79 a month or $249 a month. When you can get a website, you can get brochure websites nowadays. I'm not kidding you. And we don't sell these ones anymore, but for $500, one time, $500, and then hosting. Now, of course, you don't want to skip on the hosting. You want it to be fast and speedy. You got to be careful on that. But most hosting should be under $10 a month. So $500 one time, $10 a month. And that's a big difference than what some of these are paying. All right, now the average. I don't mind telling you our prices, but our average website's around $2,500. But our hosting is depending on how fast and how much data you got. If you have big videos and stuff on there, you need faster hosting, because speed is critical to SEO and stuff. So our hosting is $27 a month, if you just for the regular, if you don't have a lot of videos and stuff, or it's $47 a month for your own private server. It's not crazy. We're not robbing you on that. But and then it goes up from there, depending on, if you got complicated. That's not an e-com site. That's a brochure site. So as you go up, it's going to be up. But my point is if you're paying monthly, $3,000 a month or whatever, or $300 a month, doesn't seem like a lot for these agencies. For these firms and stuff. But man, I just think you need to look at relooking at getting your own website that you have control over and you own, and you can move it wherever you want to, versus they own it and they're holding you hostage. New equipment. Okay. You can't see it, but we have new LED lights in this office. So my partner wanted me to tell you about this is so Jeff. If he's listening, that's gonna be funny. So he is big into these kind of numbers things. He's an owl all day long, right? So he's like, look, he did the research. He said, if I switch out all these fluorescent lighting through the whole building, it's a 10,000 square foot building. He had fluorescent lights all around the outside, the perimeter, to light it up. And then he had other big lights shining down to keep the parking lot lit up. And then inside we had all these fluorescent lights. Well, anyway, he slowly switched every one of them out for LED. And he did double 8-foot fluorescents to medium base LED lights. So he gave me this to tell you. So they're 264 watt each, down to 9 watts each, which is the 100 watt equivalent, at $1.50 each, the bulb. $250 plus a month to $145 a month. So he saved $105 a month just on he said on the perimeter. That's just the perimeter. The outside, remember I told you he had a bunch outside just to light it up. Then in unit C, in our there's multiple businesses in here. He has a call center, and he's got like a temp agency in there, but we only have like a third of the whole building for us. Our unit C, he changed out the 2x4 foot fluorescents to 2x2 flat panels, which are much brighter and like a cleaner light. 264 watts down to 40 watts, and costs about $40 each to change them out. And so he went from $210 a month to $145 a month, so saving roughly $60 a month. So it paid for itself like in a few months, like truly, like 4, 5, 6 months. It's crazy not to look at new equipment nowadays. It's crazy. I'll talk about the new printers. So over in my ward shop, we do a lot of it's called sublimation printing. And the old inks were $120 per cartridge, and there's 4 cartridges, and they only lasted about 2 months for us. And so, whatever, that's $480, I guess, for 2 months worth of ink. And we switched to the new Epson printers. They're amazing. I don't know if you've seen them, but you can buy them for your office. You can buy like a small one, but they're called bulk ink, and you have these big bulk bottles that you pour in. I don't even know how many ounces there are, tons of ounces. And they last like 6 months. And the bulk bottles only cost us $14 per bottle. So we literally saved hundreds of dollars when you break it down per month, it's probably $150 a month we save just on ink because of the new printer, the new Epson printers, the bulk printers. You can look into them. Now they're not cheap in the beginning. I think they're like, somewhere like $500, but you make that back in 2 months, 3 months. And then plus you don't feel bad about printing full color because they're gorgeous. Print full color. You might as well just, I don't care. Print full color all you want. It's like pennies now. It's nothing compared to what else. So, and of course, new ACs, and you get rebates from the new equipment. I've got to be careful because some people always want to get the latest and greatest. I got to get the new iPhone because it's going to be more efficient. All right, you got to prove how it's going to affect your net bottom line, right? So like new air conditioner, you can literally look at your your bill and see if it cuts that expensive. So don't just pretend like it's going to help you. I had to put this one in there. Call tracking, right? Call tracking for two reasons. Number one, call tracking will help you save money because you're going to know what's working and what's not. Now, call tracking, some people are paying crazy amount of money for call tracking, and you should use us, Coca-Cola. But it's also, and I think I have it on here. I might be jumping the gun, but call tracking is a great way to see what's working and what's not. And yeah, I'll talk about it when it comes up here. Annual pay versus monthly pay. This is a no-brainer to me. If you have software that you use, there's an 88% chance. Remember, 67% of all statistics are made up on the spot. There's a big chance that they'll give you a discount if you pay the year in advance. I know like Adobe does that. I know like a lot of my software that I do buy, and I'm definitely going to use it for the next year. So instead of $120 a month, I could pay, I'm trying to do the math on that. I could pay, $1,200 a year and get a discount, right? So I get 2 months free. Usually it's you buy 10 months, get 2 months free. That's a lot of money. That's $240 or whatever that you're going to pay anyway. And so I don't mind paying in advance. Of course, you got to have some cash flow in the bank, but that's not that big of a deal. So you may want to think about that, annual pay versus monthly pay, because it's just a quick way to cut. Remember, we're only cutting 5%. So all these little things add up 5%. You get a little cheaper, garbage dumpster. I called around and same size garbage dumpster, same everything from a different company saved me $120 a month. No, it wasn't a month. It saved me like $600 a year. So what does that come out to? $60 a month, something like that. So you can do the same thing. These little things add up exponentially, right? And a programmable thermostat. I know that's cheesy, but when you have a big building like us, this is 10,000 square feet. My other building is 6,500 square feet. Just cutting some of the, expenses on, we live in Florida, right? It's hot here. We have 3 big air conditioners. If you just able to cut it back when you're not around, or on the weekends, they'll save you hundreds of dollars a month. And I know it's hard to think about that. And some people are like, oh, this is nitpicking, I don't want to do it. Yeah, I understand that. But so if you don't like it, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But you need to figure out a way to cut 5%. Something that excites you or something you can easily do, just cut 5% out of your expenses. Okay. Barter. Oh my goodness. Anybody know what barter is? I barter somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 a year. You're like, what? Yes, you have to pay taxes on it. It's as if you're selling. So don't think I cheat the taxes on it. A barter is where you can join a barter group where you give your goods or services and it goes into a bank account. Somebody buys it from somewhere else. And then I can take that money and I can barter. I can use that goods and services money, like a bank account, to buy something else. For instance, like I said, we cater every Friday. We have Pizza Friday here. We buy pizzas and calzones. It's on trade. So for my whole staff, they get to pick whatever they want. We bring in 4 or 5 pizzas, and I always get a calzone, whatever they want, some cheesy knots, whatever. And it's a great way for my staff to give back and give them something for free. But it's on trade, so I'm not paying cash for that because we trade. We'd sell like a website, like I said, for $2,500. We'll trade that into this barter group, and then I have $2,500 in my account to do whatever I want. I'm going to list a few things that I do on trade. I have 3 maid services, one for each business and one for my house. All of it's on trade. I don't pay any cash for trade. For maid services. in South here, some of you guys are not from around here, but we have to have bug people. We have to have somebody spraying for bugs. We got these things called cockroaches right here. So they have to come once a quarter. Those things, it's expensive, all on trade. I have lawn service at my ward shop. I do it at home because I actually kind of like it. I'm a weirdo, but I have lawn service on trade at a Ward Masters, which is a pretty big place. I've had 30 some trees taken out by trade. I got 20 pallets of sod to put in my house around my pool when we put a pool in. 20 pallets of sod on trade. I paid no cash on that. I trade every week. We trade. I told you about the food. We get food. We got lots of bars on trade, lots of food places on trade. So that's just kind of part of that. But I trade out condos 4 or 5 times a year. Let's say 3 or 4 times a year now. I used to do like 4 or 5 times a year. Like on the beach, overlooking the water, I'll trade it out. It costs thousands of dollars. I would never spend $3,000 to stay in a condo of cash, but I'll put it on because I have trade in my account. Barter, you could probably barter. Now you can do one-to-one barter, right? Hey, I'll give you this, you give me that, or you can join these trade exchange. They're called, these trade exchanges. So I don't want to get too much into it, but it's a great way to save money, especially if you have markup. If it's just I have a cost, right? There's hard costs, especially in my workshop, but I have hard costs here. So to make a website, it's going to cost me billable hours, right? So my website developer, which she's not, one of them is not cheap. The other one, I have 2 of them. They're both, it's going to cost me some money. It depends on, let's say they spend 30 hours, building this, but it's going to be, let's say I have $300 in labor cash and I get $2,500 in trade. You see, there's a delta there. I get a lot more for it. So there's that one of those phone numbers I'm going to hang up on. I don't even know who the, okay, sorry. PEO expenses. PEO is a professional employee organization. This could be good or bad. I actually just got rid of one. If you have lots of employees or like above 10 employees, these are phenomenal to help you save money because they treat the professional employee organization they enter into a joint employment relationship with an employer by leasing employees to the employer, thereby allowing the PEO to share and manage the employee I'm speaking too fast. Manage the employee-related responsibilities and liabilities, human resources, payroll, all that stuff, workman's comp, unemployment, all goes through, and it's all one big bucket. And if you don't have a bunch of employees, the same thing, with healthcare and all that stuff, it comes down because you're going in with 100 other companies. Now, sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it'll cost you more depending on what type of business you're in. But PEO can help you save a lot of money if you're trying to do it yourself. The other side of that, if you have a PEO, you need to look at it, and there's other ones out there, and they've come way down. We've been using PEO since a long time. I don't even know what year, to be honest, like 1996. So before we bought it, we had a PEO. So, but I just got rid of it. We use a payroll service, and of course, QuickBooks. If you don't have very many employees, there's no reason to have all that. You don't need a full human resources, and you don't need the full healthcare and all that. But something to think about. Pass your credit card fee on to your customers. This is semi-new in the last year and a half. The new credit cards machines, they automatically get added on there. And, a lot of people are doing it now. They used to be in the older days where there was a law, you had to phrase it differently. Like you couldn't add the credit card fee to your bill, but you say, if you pay cash, you have to do it in reverse. You pay cash, it's this price. If you use a credit card, it's this price. It's marked up 3% because that's what it costs you. Well, now it'll do it on your merchant service account. So speaking of that, merchant service account is something you can negotiate as well. I think I have that not on here. Buyers group, I already mentioned it. I belong to a buyers group. If you're doing, let's say you're buying things over and over again. So these, for instance, these shipping pack and ships, they all kind of get together as a group, an association, and they buy together. They'll buy like ink together, or they'll buy something, as a group, and it becomes way down. It definitely saves some money on that. Marketing, I put that on there. Now, I don't want you to cut your marketing, but I want you to cut the non-effective things in marketing. Okay. So marketing is, I want you to cut what's not giving you an ROI. And that comes back to my call tracking. So this is, there's a string attached here. The only way to know what's giving you an ROI is be able to track it. And I'm gonna jump up and down saying you need to be tracking if you're not. So they say, what's his face? It said it a long time ago. He said, 50% of my marketing works. I just don't know which 50%. Well, shame on you. Nowadays with technology, there's no reason why you shouldn't know where all of your marketing, where all your leads come from and all your sales come from. I mean, it's not definitive. Like definitively, I know I got this many, I got this many sales from this. It's close though. It's really close. I mean, especially, with pay-per-click and even some of the online stuff, so you can track a lot of that. But there's no excuse not to have a really good idea of what kind of ROI you're getting from each marketing avenue. So there is a way to cut your marketing. I think I mentioned earlier, one of my big plumbers out in Baltimore, they were spending a ton of money on Yelp, and which is fine. But I'm like, okay, let's put a call tracking number. They didn't have. We put a call tracking. We realized they only got like 7 calls the whole month, and they were spending like $4,000. And then out of the 7 calls, I think they only closed like 3. And they made 2 or 3 grand on, but they lost money. And so I'm like, well, that was not getting you ROI. And I'm like, let's look at it for another month. She's like, nope, cancel it. They were never tracking it, but they were with them for years. They just didn't know if it was working or not. So you need to be tracking it. Yeah, cut the losers out. All right, we're about done here. Both on this start, and we got to go one more thing. What's my time? Yeah, I'm right on time. Okay, bulk buy. I think I said this earlier, but it's similar to buying, annual. You can buy in bulk. So we buy a lot of plastic, we buy a lot of metal, and of course there's shipping expenses in there. The more we bulk buy, and some of my vendors, they'll give me free shipping if I buy so much. Then, and like I told you earlier, shipping is crazy, and so if you can save on shipping, that's one thing. But also, if you're going through, it's called inventory turn. They say 6 months should be your inventory turn. Sometimes you can go a little longer. I wouldn't do a year's inventory, but you can go like 8 months. So if you buy in bulk, if you get a better deal, there's no reason to buy 8 months if it doesn't give you a better deal than 6 months. But in my case, a lot of times it is. So we know we're going to use it within 8 months as the inventory turn. So we'll buy 8 months worth and get a better deal than we did on 6 months or 3 months. So buy in bulk may be helping. And then software to replace employee time. I don't want to replace employees, but in fact, I bought some software. We didn't get rid of employees, but it literally took the place of 2 employees. So we just moved them to a different area where but the software does it all, what we used to do in the olden days. And it's phenomenal. And every day a new software comes out that probably can take the place of an employee. Now, I'm not saying bots or anything like that. I'm saying these are things that maybe you're having somebody do that you don't need them, you don't need them to do anymore. You can have a piece of software. All right, I got to move on. So that was productivity and how to be more productive. And then expenses, we learn how to cut expenses. So productivity got to be 5% more productive. Expenses, we got to cut our expenses by 5%. Of all the things I just told you, it shouldn't be that hard to cut your expenses by 5%. There's more. I didn't even come close to all the things that you can do. So, all right, I'm going to wrap it up and then see if you guys have any questions. So homework. Here's your homework assignment. Please do your homework. And this is easy again. Guess what I'm going to make you do? Be more productive. I need you to implement and document some SOPs. I think this is the reason I wanted to do this one is when I interview most people, I don't know what the percentage is. It's over 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 do not have any SOPs at all. And if they do have them, they're not up to date or they're not even worthy of looking at. So I think even if you're a 1-person operation, I think you should it could be a 1-page SOP. This is how I do my business. This is how if I get a lead, I do this. And then if they become a client, then this is my onboarding process. Let me give you an example of an SOP. One of our SOPs is onboarding. Okay, once we get a new client, this is how we onboard them. We send them a gift. Put all this aside. So we send them this box, if you can see it. We send a box out that says, welcome, to the prosperous family. And we give them all kinds of fun stuff. We give them folders and all the stuff that I'm showing you. We give when we say welcome to the thing. So the SOP says step 1, send the email. Step 2, send the video. Step 3, send it's called an intake form. The intake form is where we gather information. Step 4, trigger the box. And that's the box. We trigger the box to get, because we actually put their name and stuff on it. Trigger the box, so the box gets triggered. Send the box, which is a couple of days later after everything gets done. Make a phone call to schedule the first onboarding meeting, the Zoom meeting. So like these are SOPs, step 1, step 2. SOPs have to be task driven. This is not just philosophy. This isn't just possibles. This is what you're going to do on day 1, day 2. It should be by day. It could be by hour. I think we have some by hour. We do this. So I want you, as a homework assignment, you to pick. You don't have to do all your SOPs, even if it's just an onboarding SOP, offboarding SOP. When somebody cancels with you, you can have an SOP for hiring new employees and how that goes. You can have an SOP for how you acquire new leads, right? New prospects, new leads. Here's how we do it. We send these emails first, and then we send this direct mail piece. Then we make a phone call. That's an SOP. So you can do it. So anyway, write it down. If you want to share it in the group, that would be awesome. I'd love to see it, or share it to me privately. You can just send me a DM, or you can just put in the homework assignment. Say, I did the homework. I have an SOP for this. Just tell me what it was about. You don't have to give me the actual SOP. Okay, number 2, I want you to cut expenses by 5%. This should be the easiest homework thing I've ever given you. Of all the things I told you, you could just, who knows? You can just cut, some fluff out, and 5% is so easy. So let me get into, let me do this. I'm going to pull this up, my dog emoji veterinarian. And so if you look down here, there's 2 types of expenses. Number 1 is called your variable costs. These costs go up when you sell more. Your costs go up more because that's why they're variable, right? I'm not an accountant, so I'm just trying to. In my layman's terms, this is how it goes. So if you can cut material, one of the things we talk about is cutting costs on materials and supplies. That you can cut that cost a little bit but that'll help you, because as you grow your sales, the materials and supplies are less. Your net bottom line is going to be a lot more, right? It's a lot more. But what's easier is to cut your fixed costs. These things right here, like wages, we talk about salary and wages, your advertising costs, your repairs and maintenance, your travel, rent, mortgage, delivery. I mean, there's probably another 30 things I didn't have on here. Insurance, office supplies, other expenses. So put your expenses in there. If you have your real profit loss statement or your real income statement that you can put in here, then take a hard look at it. And I would pull up your bank account. Just pull up your bank account statement and just go through it line item by line item. Do it for 3 months, because sometimes things are quarterly, sometimes things are yearly, sometimes a lot of things are monthly. And then you need to question every single expense. Like, what was this for? And if you don't know what it is, you need to get to the bottom of it. You need to label it. Go, oh yeah, I know what that is. And then you need to make a decision whether or not to keep it or get rid of it. Then also you can do what's called a vendor audit. And so it's perfectly fine to shop your vendors. I know it's insulting, and when people do it to you, it's probably insulting to you, but it's part of life. You know what? And so you need to, if they're shopping you, you can show value why you're worth that. That's a whole other conversation. But you can do it to your vendors. You can do it to anybody you spend money with. There's always a way. Either there's a way to negotiate with them specifically, even if it's your rent and your mortgage. You can refinance, right? Or you can change your rent. Or you can sublet or whatever to save money. But then the other side of that, you need to look and see if how long your contract is, and see if it's something when the contract's up that you can actually go with somebody else that's cheaper. And now, cheapest price is not everything. Again, I'm not saying that. I'm saying all you need to do is cut 5%. So if you don't want to skimp in this area, then don't. Like, if you have to have the latest iPhone and all the top, and it's it's $180 a month. And that's like non-negotiable to you. So what? Okay, keep it. I don't care. I mean, trust me, I have things like that in my life. That's non-negotiable. But I'll skimp over here where it really doesn't matter to me. Like, you know what? This doesn't matter. I don't need premium coffee every day. I can get the medium or whatever. I don't know. Okay, so I need you to cut 5% out of this chart right here for you when you put your chart in there. So when you're done, you can fill this in with your numbers. Let's say the veterinarians. So it should kind of work out. Tomorrow we're going to talk about retention, but today you can do your own numbers. You can say, okay, my total prospects I increased by 5%. My total customers closed I increased by 5%. This is a veterinarian. I'm assuming 92%. If you walk into a veterinarian with a sick dog or a dog that needs a shot or something, or a pregnant dog, there's like a 95% closing rate. You're not walking out of there, right? So anyway. It's more about, for them, it's about frequency. So average sales frequency, which we talked about yesterday, if you can change it from them coming once a year, 1.2 times a year, to 1.26, which is 5% more times a year, and then increase your average order, right? And then increase your retention. How many people don't leave you? Which a lot of veterinarians, a lot of people will leave and go to a different vet for many reasons. In fact, we just switched vets, believe it or not, with my German Shepherd. We just switched to a different vet because my vet closed on Friday afternoons. They close every Friday afternoon at noon, and it just frustrated me because we needed to get her in because anyway, we thought something was wrong. Nothing was wrong with her, but she just wasn't right, feeling right. And I needed to get her in, and they weren't open, so I took her to a new vet. I happen to like them better. That's sad because they're going to lose my business. And I was with them for 5-6 years, two different dogs. Anyway, the retention is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So do the math on here, and then you're going to cut your variable expenses. You're going to cut your fixed expenses. Try to by 5% each, and then look at your net bottom line. It's going to be extremely impressive. Maybe not double unless when you add in your retention and you add in the other some of the frequency things. But when you start doing this, you can see how it'll double your net bottom line. And so that's what I care about. Like double our net bottom line is pretty easy to do. So here on the plumber, this one's actually doubled by far. And this one, the plumber will take the place of like roofers, HVAC, dentists, chiropractors, lawyers. I mean, it's going to be very similar because it's a service-based industry, right? So anytime you're service-based, you're going to have similar types of metrics. When you get into photographer and stuff, this could be all over the place. I got 50% cost of goods, which includes the photographer and assistant, which is probably not even the case. It's probably you if it's just you. So this is going to be all messed up. So you can change that. But if you have a couple of photographers that work for you, and so you have like two part-time photographers and you doing stuff, then this would work out for you. But just make sure you put your own numbers in there. All right, cool. We're wrapping it up here. Any let's see. Let me read some of the comments here. All right, Alan says, I had a client who made Teflon tubing. Okay, his savings account when the market was down and the suppliers, he had excess. Oh, he would buy a lot at the warehouse. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's time metal. Like I buy a ton of brass. I buy aluminum, brass, and steel. And man, that stuff fluctuates like, it's like wood, like lumber nowadays, freaking lumber's all over the place. So when there is a good deal, yeah, I mean, I buy in volume. And why not? It's not gonna, like metal's not gonna go to waste, right? In my case, it's not perishable. Now, if it's perishable, you gotta be careful. Yeah, I agree. In the same case. So cool. Yeah, hopefully, I mean, I think you can do the homework assignment easily on this. So remember, just cut 5% out of your expenses, and it could be just your personal expenses. I don't care. And then I need you to write down one SOP or some of your SOPs, and it'll help you. I promise. For that, that's how you're going to be more productive. SOPs will make you more productive. One, because you're tracking it, right? And then you can make it more efficient. That's what's going to happen. It's the upward spiral thing. I think once I encourage you to do it once, you're going to go, wow, that kind of worked. I need to do that with other parts of my business. You'll see. And I was not an SOP guy. I'll be brutally honest. So I met my partner a long time ago. I think he came on in 2011. Yeah. So I actually asked him, I gave him a portion of my company for him to help me with all these things I was really weak at. I'd forget to bill people. I'd forget to charge your credit card. And then I'd be like, oh crap, that was stupid. I'm doing all this work and it'd be like 3 months and I never billed them. That is not how you run a business, man. That's horrible. So he came in and said, all right, we're putting SOPs on everything. We only had one at the time. We only had one employee, him, me, and one employee. And then I sold 16 new clients in one day. The wheels were coming off. Like, I'm like, we either got to shut this, because I wanted, same thing back then. I wanted to have integrity. I didn't want to sell somebody and not be able to deliver. So I was like, I got to give their money back, because y'all gave me checks. And I'm like, we got to give their money back. I can't fulfill. Like, he's like, nope, we're going to hire employees. We're going to butts and seats, hands on keyboards. And so I needed somebody like that to help me. And he's like, this is standing up from procedure, because you need to hire them and train them. You write the SOPs for what they should be doing. How are you going to help them with reputation? How are you going to help them with SEO? How are you going to help them with pay-per-click? And so you need to write the SOPs of what they're supposed to be doing every day, and then I can oversee them and manage the SOPs. And it was brilliant. And I mean, I know it's not even brilliant. It's common sense, but I wasn't doing it. This is 10 years ago. And so we put in these SOPs, and it's changed a lot since then. But boy, as our business got more, and as we grow, we just have more butts and seats, more hands on keyboards, because they just follow the SOPs. Like, the learning curve is minimal. And they don't, sometimes they want to try to reinvent the wheel. And I'm like, we already tried that. Like, you don't need it. Just do it the way we told you to do it. If you have an idea, bring it to me. We'll talk about it. I'm not against changing. Remember, I like changing, but more than likely we've tried it, right? So, I mean, we've been doing this quite a while. But sometimes not. We'll do something new. Is it efficient? Is it effective? And is it productive? Does it produce a result? If the answer is yes, then we'll change your SOP. No problem. But you can do the same. So, all right. Sorry, I went off on that a little bit. Cool. All right. So everybody, please post in the Facebook group. Please tell me how it's going. Hopefully, you're getting something out of this. I mean, I am enjoying this. This is just as much for me as it is for you. It forces me to rethink some things. And I'll be honest, we're going back in our own business. We're going. My partner today said, "Hey, we need to cut some costs." He's like, "You brought up some ideas," and I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm like, we need to walk the talk, or talk the walk. And ourselves. So we are. We got a lot of good things going on. We raised our prices. We just brought on a couple of new clients. And we're raising. We had a big meeting about we have a big franchise that we work with, and we haven't raised prices in 2 years. And that is like shame on us. And so we're trying to. You got to be delicate with it, but it's understandable. They'll understand why we need to raise the price. So we're going to raise our price before the end of the year, and that'll be that's dozens and dozens of clients. All that all will go up. That will all go straight to the bottom line, right? So it's my fault for not raising them in the last couple of years. So, all right, that's what I have for you guys. I want to tell you, thank you from my heart. Please be here tomorrow, man. We got a big day tomorrow. I know you think it's we only got one left, but it'll culminate. Everything will come together tomorrow. It's super, super powerful, and you'll see I kind of have a big surprise for you as well. But I'm tomorrow at 3:00. Just try to plan to be here live. I think it'll be best for you. And you'll get a lot out of this. And of course, I'm going to be giving away more giveaways. So do your homework. I got some more giveaways, shipping out some today. And I'm shipping out, I'm trying to put the box together tomorrow. And then I'm going to be giving some more. Whoever does the homework today, I'll be picking a winner from that too. So I have a few things left. So yeah, why not? Pretty cool stuff. I'll bribe you to do your homework. I'll bribe you to help yourself. Help me help you. I love it. Jerry Maguire. Right? Okay, you guys are the best. Thank you for hanging out with me. Until we meet.